The day my husband went into an induced coma following a sudden cardiac arrest, my mother-in-law did not ask the doctor if he would survive. She walked straight into our living room, handed me a black trash bag, and said that I had 24 hours to pack my things. She told me that a woman who brings bad luck does not belong in her family house. 2 years later, I sat at the head of a mahogany boardroom table while she and her eldest son begged me to sign a debt relief agreement. I did not say a single word. I simply slid a black trash bag across the table and told them that they had 24 hours to clear out their offices. If you have ever been kicked while you were down, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. My name is Maya Lynn, and for 8 long years I was married to Julian Vance. Julian was a quiet, gentle software architect who came from a wealthy and proud family. His mother, Evelyn Vance, was a woman whose entire life revolved around high society and social status. His older brother, Marcus, was a careless man who spent his life burning through family money on failed business ideas. When Julian and I got married, Evelyn made her disappointment very clear from the very first day. My father was a simple florist, and I did not come from a wealthy background. I ran a small digital design studio called Aura Studio, which I built with my own hands using a small inheritance from my late mother. Evelyn used to look past me at family dinners as if I were invisible. She would tell Julian that he needed a wealthy social asset, not a small-town entrepreneur. What Evelyn never knew was that her family company was actually failing behind closed doors. Marcus was making terrible investments, and the business was losing millions of dollars every single year. Julian was secretly using his own personal income to keep the family company running. At the same time, I was using the profits from my design studio to pay for our mortgage, our groceries, and our entire household. I carried our entire life on my shoulders while his family treated me like a servant. Still, I loved Julian, and I believed that his kindness was worth enduring his toxic family. I was completely wrong. It happened on a cold, rainy evening in November. Julian collapsed on the kitchen floor without any warning. His heart had stopped due to a sudden condition that no one knew he had. By the time the paramedics arrived, his brain had been without oxygen for critical minutes. The doctors placed him into a medically induced coma, giving him only a small chance to survive. I spent 48 hours sitting on a hard plastic chair in the hospital waiting room. My eyes were red, my clothes were stained, and I was completely exhausted. On the morning of the 3rd day, I drove back to our home to grab a clean change of clothes. When I pulled into the driveway, I saw 2 large moving vans parked on our grass. I stepped out of the car with my hands shaking from cold and fear. Sitting on the porch was Evelyn, quietly drinking tea from a warm thermos. Beside her was Marcus, directing 2 workers who were carrying my personal belongings out of my own house. My books, my clothes, my design binders, and my late mother's quilt were all tossed into plastic bags on the wet pavement. I asked them what they were doing in a voice that was barely a whisper. Evelyn set her thermos down and looked at me with cold, lifeless eyes. She told me that since Julian was in a coma, the family had decided to sell the house to cover his medical care. She claimed that the house belonged to the family trust and that I had no legal right to stay. I screamed at them that I had paid the mortgage every single month from my own business bank account. Marcus laughed in my face and told me that I was just paying rent to stay in a Vance home. He told me that my time in their family was officially over. He pulled out his phone and threatened to call the police if I did not leave the property within 20 minutes. I looked at my mother's handmade quilt lying on the wet concrete. I realized in that terrible moment that begging monsters for mercy only destroys your own soul. I did not scream, and I did not shed another tear in front of them. I picked up my bags, threw them into the trunk of my car, and drove away into the cold rain. That was the exact day my old self died. For the next 6 months, I lived in a tiny room above a loud laundry shop. The hum of the washing machines became the only sound in my quiet life. Julian passed away 4 months later without ever waking up from his coma. Evelyn and Marcus did not even invite me to my own husband's funeral. They held a private ceremony and posed for photos, playing the role of a grieving family. I had to stand far away behind a large tree at the edge of the graveyard just to say goodbye to the man I loved. When the service ended, Marcus saw me standing by my old car. He walked over and threw a small velvet box onto my windshield before walking away. Inside was my mother's simple gold wedding ring, which they had stolen from my nightstand. I held that cold ring in my trembling hand, standing alone in the pouring rain. Pain inside me did not go away, but it turned into something cold and strong. I decided that I was done crying forever. Over the next 2 years, I worked 16 hours every single day without taking a single day off. While Marcus was spending money on luxury cars and bad investments, I was growing my studio into a corporate strategy firm. I focused on helping companies that were struggling with debt and poor management. My hard work paid off, and a massive investment fund called Vanguard Holdings offered to partner with me. They gave me complete control over a $50 million fund that bought distressed companies. Then Marcus made the biggest mistake of his life. To cover up his massive business losses, Marcus took out an $8 million emergency loan. He put up everything his family owned as collateral, including their main office, their estate, and all company shares. The loan came from a private group called Apex Capital. What Marcus did not realize was that Apex Capital was entirely owned by my investment fund. And I was the person who personally managed every single loan in that office. I quietly watched their bank accounts every week as they slid deeper into trouble. Marcus kept spending money on expensive trips while his company failed to pay its basic bills. When the final payment deadline passed, Marcus defaulted on the entire $8 million loan. Apex Capital immediately triggered a full legal seizure of all their assets. A mandatory emergency meeting was set for Monday morning at our corporate headquarters downtown. Evelyn and Marcus had no idea who was waiting for them behind those big double doors. On Monday morning, the sky outside was gray and dark, just like the day they threw my life away. I sat at the head of a massive walnut boardroom table, surrounded by top corporate lawyers. When the glass doors opened, Evelyn walked in looking old and tired. Marcus walked in behind her, sweating through his shirt and holding a thick leather folder. They did not look at my face at first, assuming I was just a secretary waiting for the real boss. Marcus began speaking in a panicked voice, asking for a 6-month delay on their debt payments. I leaned forward and told him in a calm voice that there would be no delays. The entire room went completely silent. Marcus froze mid-sentence, and Evelyn's head snapped directly toward me. For 5 long seconds, neither of them could breathe. Evelyn's face turned as white as a sheet, and her hands began to shake uncontrollably. She whispered my name in a voice that was completely broken. I looked her in the eyes and informed her that I was the managing director of the company that owned their debt. Marcus slammed his hands on the table and yelled that this was a complete conflict of interest. My lawyer calmly handed him a thick red folder containing the legal ownership documents. I explained to them that as of 8 o'clock that morning, all their business bank accounts were frozen. Their company was officially bankrupt, and Marcus was removed from his position as chief executive. Evelyn fell onto her knees right beside her chair, begging me not to destroy her family legacy. She told me that we were family and that Julian would have wanted me to forgive them. I stood up slowly and told her never to use my late husband's name ever again. I reminded her that when Julian was dying, she treated him like a financial burden. And when I was grieving, she treated me like trash to be thrown onto the driveway. I reached under the table and pulled out a large, heavy, black plastic trash bag. I dropped it right in the center of the clean boardroom table with a loud thud. Evelyn jumped back in fear, staring at the bag with wide, terrified eyes. I told them that inside the bag were all the formal eviction notices for their offices and their family house. I told her that she had until 5 o'clock that afternoon to gather her personal belongings before the locks were changed. Marcus sat frozen in his chair, looking like he was about to throw up on the floor. He whispered that I had ruined their entire lives. I looked at him one last time and told him that I did not ruin them, they had ruined themselves, and I simply bought the debt. I picked up my tablet, walked past them, and opened the large glass doors to leave. As I walked down the long hallway, I could hear Evelyn crying loudly into her hands inside the room. It was the exact same sound of crying that I had made in a tiny apartment above a laundry shop 2 years ago. When people treat you like you are nothing, do not waste your time arguing with them. Work quietly in the dark until your success becomes something they can never defeat. If this story brought a smile to your face, hit the like button right now and share your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss another story of ultimate justice and success.